Hello and welcome to Big Boy Bigger Dreams. I am the big boy with the bigger dreams, Eden Longson. I am a composer, I'm a drummer, I'm a teacher, I am a lover. No, oh God, ugh. I remember back in the day my Twitter bio used to be drummer, composer, lover, music nerd. Just so cringe. Looking back at it, that's just so horrible. Anyway, welcome to Big Boy Bigger Dreams. This is my plog cast, where I document my life in London trying to be a professional musician, which I somewhat am, but of course one could always be more professional and actually earning more money from doing the thing they love. I like to give these things names. This is episode 25. We're a quarter of a century through these things, which is pretty cool. Last week I lied. I said it was the 23rd episode last week, and I was lying. It was the 24th episode last week. This is the 25th. And this episode's name is All This Splendour and My Vessel Still Weeps. Now, I also have a bit of a cold. You might be able to tell because my nose sounds even more nasally than usual. My voice typically sounds quite nasal. I think I've got quite a nasal voice. And every now and again I might have to pull away from the mic and have a little cough. But I woke up yesterday with a terrible blocked nose. It's one of the joys of working with young people, I think, is that they are plague pits. Like, you just go to school and then you come back with like 10 different diseases and hope that they're not all deadly. But yeah, no, it's, so I feel a little bit ill. I feel a bit better today. I feel a lot better today because I actually went out to teaching and I went to a school today and I felt great just because, I was always going to get there late. I had the audacity to leave my house at 7:10 instead of 7:05, and so missed the good bus and had to get the terrible bus. And that made me get onto the Jubilee line late, which made me get onto the Northern line late, which meant that I got to the school a minute before I was meant to start teaching, which badness. In the future, I know I need to leave by 7:05. It's funny how much difference 10 minutes makes. Like, I got out of bed, feet on the ground by 7:20, and I still only managed to leave at 7:10 because I went up and had a shower and everything and was putting stuff away. I just need to know it's 6:30. Have your clothes picked out the night before, have your bag packed from the night before, and just get on with it. That's, I think, the lesson. But yeah, I was about to say the title of this episode, All This Splendour and My Vessel Still Weeps. It sounds quite dramatic, and it is. And I actually got it from a meme that I sent my friend Giles. I sent him a collection of images, and they were sort of cartoons and really abstract, grotesque caricatures of famous cartoons. There's something from Sesame Street or Barney the Dinosaur or SpongeBob, Scooby-Doo, Finding Nemo, just all these weird sort of kids shows that have been turned into these grotesque drawings with these really deep, dark, out-of-pocket quotes. And one of them is a picture of SpongeBob and SpongeBob SquarePants, the Nickelodeon character, and he's sort of rising off the ground and he's got really long legs for some reason, and there's water seeping out of his pores, and like Patrick and Squidward are there like cowering in front of him, and he says, "All this splendour and my vessel still weeps." Wow, have I got a deep voice now? That's the only thing about having a cold that's pretty cool, actually, is that you do get a deep voice. Hello, how are you today? That's pretty good, actually. Maybe I'll become a voiceover artist, but just have to have a perpetual cold. Wait, what can I do? The Jesus Christ Superstar? This Jesus must die. No, I can't get that low. You'll just have to enjoy the more sultry aspect to my voice this episode. I'm fine. I just thought that meme was very, very funny. And I think the funniest things are the things that are the closest to tragedy. And I think that there's something really deep and prophetic about the idea of, all this splendour yet my vessel still weeps. You know, I am going through a lot of great stuff at the minute, and yet, something takes the edge, something takes the sheen off, So, let's talk about some music stuff I did recently. So on last Saturday, I'm recording this on the Friday to be released on the Monday, because I'm going up to Stoke to see my parents and then to see my buddy Kieran for his birthday. And I'm also going to see some other friends for brunch times on Sunday. It's going to be lovely. But last Saturday, I played a gig with Simon Howard at the Spice of Life in Soho, which was pretty cool to play like a gig in Soho, like the middle of London. It's pretty cool. Like, it was pretty rad. The band on before us, I wish I could remember what they were called. I feel like they were called something like that kind of name, or Nothing at All, or something like that. Just some kind of... The name didn't stick with me, but they were really good. They had a really good energy. They were really fun. They were lads from Manchester. I got chatting to the drummer. He was ace. He was lovely. I can't remember his name. Smithy. I think he called himself Smithy. And yeah, it was just, really, really fun band on before us. And then we came... It was funny. They were like a really punky indie, Arctic Monkeys style band. And then we come on playing country and western music. Not country and western music, pure country. I don't think we're country and western. Yeah. So we're coming on playing like... And it just was like, oh. But people loved it. People got really on board. There were people dancing. There were people hooting and hollering. Beautiful. It was a great time. Simon's a great songwriter. He's a great frontman. And it was just really, really fun. It's not like the usual gigs that I do, which are typically jazz gigs. Including, I didn't do a gig, but on the Thursday I went to a jam night and I jammed along with some jazz cats. Stratos the band over at Grow in Hackney, led by Rio Kai, who is just an absolute monster. I even joked with him. I had a word with him, and he was sort of asking how I was, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I was all right." He turns out he's actually playing on Othello at the Globe at the minute, which is pretty cool. And I said about how I'd come a few weeks before, but Daniel Casimir was on instead of Rio Kai. Daniel Casimir, another one of the London great bass players. And I was joking to Rio, like, so I've played with the two best bass players in London. And he was like, oh, that's very sweet. But he's brilliant. The whole band are brilliant. Jamie Murray, who's their resident drummer, is just an absolute monster. Mike D'Souza, Dominic Susie, these are just wonderful musicians. So went and played a load of jazz on Thursday evening. Met a couple new people, which was kind of fun. I'm realizing, by the way, that... So I changed my jumper just before I started recording because I was wearing my sort of cream jumper that I've worn like 2 out of the 3 last recordings, and I just felt like that's a bit gross. So I put this jumper on just because it was close to hand, but I realised there's a big jam stain. I made some sourdough earlier this week, and I had some jam on it, on some toast of it, and some of the jam fell onto my jumper. So I'm currently presenting myself on the internet with a big old jam stain on my jumper. So that's pretty rad. So jam in Hackney, gig on Saturday, and then on Sunday, this is very cool, I went and recorded at Abbey Road Studios with my big band, the Mojo Big Band, who are based up in Bow. And it was a really surreal experience. Like, I'd always kind of had this opinion, and the opinion was sort of like, well, anyone can go to Abbey Road. Like, anyone can, like, call up, book, and go to Abbey Road. You pay a lot of money, and you go to Abbey Road. So it's not really that special. But then you get there, and you pull into the very famous Abbey Road Studios. There's a very tiny car park that I was allowed to park in, and there's the steps up to Abbey Road Studios. And I was just staring at the steps like, oh, fuck, that's Abbey Road Studios. And I took a picture from my car, and I took so many pictures during the day. I always wish I could have taken more. It was just such a delight. What a great day. It got me. I'd always had that opinion of like, anyone can record there. It's not that special. And then you get there and you're like, oh my God, this is so special. I even text, because I kept posting on Instagram all these pictures. I must have posted like 12 posts on my story. It was getting pretty ridiculous. And I said to Giles, because Giles knew about this opinion that I had, it's funny how I always had that opinion, yet now I've made it my entire personality that I've been to Abbey Road. It was so much fun. I was able to take my own drum kit, which I was pretty happy about because, they've probably got loads of really cool kits there that are, Ringo Starr played on or whatever. And that's cool, but I have my kit, and my kit is part of my identity. Like the way I set my kit up, the way my kit looks, the way my kit feels, the way my kit sounds, that's all, I think, quite intrinsic to me and who I am as a musician. So I was very happy I got to take my own drum kit, and it was just incredible. What a great day. I got there very early. I'd given the Barry sax player, Caitlin, a lift, and we went and sat in the cafe for a bit, and then eventually we got to so I set up in this little sort of drum isolated booth, and then the whole big band come in, and then we're just playing. And I even said this down there. So I had a talkback mic, which was, I don't know why I was air miming a mic then when I'm literally talking into a mic. I could have pointed to that mic. Whatevs. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I said down the microphone, I had this talkback mic, which was so that I could communicate with the band, because I was in a soundproof booth. And so I said down the microphone, if 15-year-old Eden could see that he was going to record with a big band at Abbey Road Studios, he'd have shit himself. And it's true. Like, it's so true. Like, I loved big band music, and I wanted nothing more than to play in big bands when I was like 15, 16, maybe more like 16, 17, but still, like, I remember I got into big bands through two ways. First way was Jules Holland. I love Jules Holland. I unironically 100% love Jules Holland. I think he's great. I've seen him live like 5 times. I think he's brilliant. Ruby Turner, who's in his band, she's one of the greatest singers ever to do the singing, ever to play the game. And I just love his band, and I always have done. And so I got really into big band music through that, through a couple of his albums, like the More Friends album and maybe the And Friends album. That version of Tuxedo Junction's one of my favorites. The Blind Boys of Alabama. There's just so many great songs. The Blind Boys of Alabama did a song with him. I can't remember what the song's called. It's a great. He's done a load of great albums. It's so much fun. Rocking Horse, great album. So I got him through that, but then also my granddad and my nan were quite into big band music, and I remember they bought me some like Glenn Miller CDs. I'd listened to a lot of Glenn Miller, and then my granddad bought me the Glenn Miller Story, the film starring Jimmy Stewart, and I loved that film. I thought it was brilliant. Watching, Ben Pollack play drums in that opening audition bit was just so cool. Seeing Louis Armstrong and just, it was just amazing. And so that really got me into it. And so, yeah, honestly, it was a dream come true. Playing in, Abbey Road with a big band, just surreal stuff, really was. Like, just from the moment I got that. And there's all these pictures on the walls of, like, the Beatles and Eartha Kitt and Amy Winehouse and Stormzy and you name it. Like, there's just everyone's on the walls. Morecambe and Wise are in the cafe on the walls for some reason. I don't know, they must have recorded something there. Just incredible. There's like the sheet music from a Beatles track. I think it's Yesterday. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, there's like sheet music from that up on the wall. It's really cool. If you ever get the chance to go and record there. Proof that I am actually ill. As if I just sneezed 3 times while recording a podcast. That's pretty lame. Anyway, I had a great day, and I posted on Instagram so much. I posted on Instagram just about my week that I'd had, including Abbey Road, and got the most amount of likes I've ever had on an Instagram photo, which is pretty rad. Got like 105 likes, which, there are so many people who get so many more likes than I do, but considering my average like count is like 25 to 30, felt pretty cool. So that was really cool. I have been really enjoying teaching. Oh, I'm so ill. As fun as recording at Abbey Road was and playing gigs was, I do genuinely think that teaching is becoming as big a part of my career as I would like it to be, because it is just so much fun. Like, I really get into a flow state. Like, when I'm teaching, the hours drift by like nothing. Like, I taught like however many students I taught today, like 10 or 11 students today. And it felt like 5 minutes. Like, it was incredible. It was so good. Some really fun students, some really good students, some really lovely students. And I had a great time. I really love teaching. I think it's so important, it's so valuable, but, more than that, it just is so much fun, to be around the kids, to be part of the school life, just the fact that like the kids who I teach, if I see them around school, they'll like wave and be like, oh, and that's just nice. There are like nice kids who I like, I'm happy to see, and they're happy to see me, and that makes me feel really good. God, I wish I wasn't ill. It feels like a proper privilege being able to teach. Maybe I'll get more students and they're horrible and I won't like it, but all the students I have now, fantastic. I had a student today who had his first ever drum lesson, and that was just really exciting because it's pretty incredible seeing it happen for the first ever time, and it is pretty remarkable. And like trying to explain, the very, very, very fundamentals of drumming is quite a hard thing to do. Like, do you know where you would start teaching that kind of thing? Like, it's quite odd, but I think he had a good time. We ended up chatting about video games. He seems quite into Elden Ring. Fair play to him. I've not actually played that game. It's on my list though. What else? I have got notes. What else have I got written here in my notes? Is this a better place to have my microphone? Maybe. Music stuff. I have been working on my music for Grim the Thunder and the Mighty Thunderwells, two bands that I play with, that are bands that I've set up, playing basically all my music. But Grim the Thunder are based in London, Mighty Thunderwells are based in the north. I've uploaded a new video of the Mighty Thunderwells that Sam G edited. Shout out to Sam. All That Is Gold Does Not Glitter, which we recorded in the summer of 2022, and it sounds amazing. And you will hear another recording of that in a few months, a big band version, because I am currently working on a big band album, and I am very excited to share that with you all. I think it's actually going to be really, really cool. I've got some pretty rad ideas. I've already laid down all the drum tracks, so it's just about carrying on from there. The Grim the Thunder, we haven't gigged yet, so it's about getting them together, getting them gig ready, and just hunting out those gigs. Mighty Thunderwells, we did a great gig last year up in Liverpool. Gonna try and get some more with them because they're just so much fun to play with. Just wonderful musicians, and I'm just very excited. I've also got my tune Battleix and Freya, which is my alto, flute, and tenor saxophone duo. That's going to be available on streaming in a couple of weeks, which is very exciting. You might be able to pre-order it, but I don't know how. God, I'm such a bad promoter of my own music. But I also have a saxophone orchestra EP, which I am just finalising the artwork for, and then I will be uploading that, as well as a single by a string quartet, the Polar Bears of Colucci Island. Very excited to get that. I painted for my big band album. I painted a mandala, which is one of my favorite kind of things. I mean, a true mandala you sort of destroy once you've made it, but that seems unreasonable for an album artwork to be destroyed. Although I did have an idea. I had an idea about album artwork once, where if you were making a digital album, could you make an AI digital album artwork? And I don't mean like NFT or any of that fucking bullshit, but like, and I also don't love AI, but imagine if you had, artwork, and then you had a set of parameters, and maybe there's like, 1,000 different parameters that could be different each time. And, it wouldn't even have to be AI, I guess. It's just random number generator, RNG. And so every time you opened the album, wherever you're streaming it from, it would change and pick a random set of those parameters. And of course, if there's 1,000 different parameters, that's 1,000 factorial. Which, even 52 factorial, the amount of cards in a playing deck, isn't there more different variations of how many of 52 than atoms in the universe or something ridiculous? No, it can't be that. But it's one of those things where if you have let's even just say 100 parameters, it just means that no matter what, whenever anyone opens that album artwork, it will be slightly different. It will always be different. Like, the likelihood is that it will always be different. I guess that's where you could have AI doing like a data model where it analyzes every single one that's ever come out and then therefore bars that from being done again. Be pretty cool. It would be pretty cool, but also sounds way above my technical pay grade. If there are any nerds out there who want to help me with that, come forward, please. But I drew a mandala, and the mandala is basically it's a 4-way image. So there's always like the center point, and then it goes out sort of almost in a square, and then you draw various different things in each square, but it's sort of also, it's meant to be symmetric whilst also being unique. And it's sort of meant to represent the world and how there's no real up, there's no real down, there's no real left, there's no real right. It's just about perspective. And so I'm really excited. If I ever printed it as a CD, I really like the idea that no matter which way around you looked at it, it would work. Like even the text, the album name, Eden Longson, that would be written around the outside. So no matter which way you looked at it, it would always work. I think that would be really, really, really rad. And that's what I'm working on. I'm really excited for that big band album. I've sent the bass parts to some bass players. I just need to get them recorded. Yeah, things are happening, which is very, very exciting. So how come when I went to counselling on Tuesday, I ended up crying? Now, given that most of the time people go to counselling, they do end up crying. I haven't cried in a bit, and then all of a sudden I was crying. And I don't know, it felt like, oh, I've done all these cool things, recorded at Abbey Road, that jam, the gig, the stuff I've got coming up. I've been asked, I've got myself onto another show, and I've got a different show coming up, and then another show coming up in like May, and it's like all this splendour, and my vessel still weeps. Like, that still reigns so true, and that's just really quite upsetting that I can still find reasons to cry in counselling sessions, and that's not where I want to be. I don't want to be crying in counselling sessions, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it helps get the toxins out. I always like a good cry. Like, I love crying at movies. If there's a movie that makes me cry, I love it, because I think it shows that the pipes are working. It shows that everything is flowing as it should be. It shows that, I don't like being woo-woo, but it shows that energy is coming out of you. Emotional energy exists within you. And I think that's good. But it kind of got me realizing that my professional goals aren't always the same as like my life goals. And it's difficult as a musician because so much of what you do or what your life feels propelled by are intertwined with both personal and professional, because for so many people music is a hobby, and so it's part of your personal life, whereas for me it's part of my professional life as well. So it's like I'm being judged from two angles. Am I enjoying a creative homey holistic life, but then am I also achieving professional goals? And they're intertwined in the same thing, but they really need to be separated sometimes. And I need to remember that actually, like, just because I'm doing cool shit doesn't mean that I'm feeling cool about it and feeling cool about my life in general. And there are these huge, goals that we set, record at Abbey Road, or perform at the Royal Albert Hall, or be on TV, or score a film, or, win a Grammy, win an Oscar. The list goes on, but it isn't happiness. Achieving these things isn't happiness. Those achievements are not happiness. The road to achieve them it certainly might be littered with happiness, but doing it from a healthy and loving place seems like a better shot at happiness. Maybe part of the curse of getting happier is that you start to truly see the length of the road ahead of you. Like, hope begets both regret and an exhaustion, sort of a pre-exhaustion, knowing how far you have to go. Like, I've spoken a little before about how I'm like a massive fan of process philosophy, all the sort of the concepts found within. Everything is constantly shifting and changing. Nothing stays the same ever. You never step in the same river twice. I think I've said this all before on the podcast, but my life right now is completely unrecognizable to my life 3 years ago. Unrecognizable. And that life 3 years ago was completely unrecognizable to that of 3 years before that. And that statement, "this too shall pass," I mean, I love that statement, and I think about it a lot, and it propels me forward because it is true. Everything does pass. But it's also a bit of a double-edged sword, because happiness will also pass. This too shall pass means, I know you're feeling shit now, but one day you'll feel happy. But I feel sometimes when you're happy, you can also think, well, this too shall pass. You will be sad one day. And that's, that's kind of sad. And we aren't working towards a state of constant euphoria. We're not working towards just being happy 24/7. That just can't and does not exist. And, I believe that's not what Zen is. That's not what Nirvana is, or whatever. That's not what contentment is. Contentment is a mixture of knowing who you are, accepting the darkness, and then embracing the light. It's knowing that pain is a part of life, yet so is happiness. And therefore, taking the optimistic route of seeking joy whenever one can, and finding happiness in the impermanence of life. Like, it's, you have to know that things are going to end. And knowing things are going to end can be wholly liberating. Yes, this happiness will end, but there'll be more happiness around the corner. Like, sadness will come and sadness will go. Happiness will come, happiness will go. And actually, I think it's knowing that. I think it's that knowledge, that bite from the fruit is, like, so important, because it allows us to see the prison we're in, or see the routines we're in, or the loops that we're in, and it allows us to identify what's holding us back, what's making us feel rotten, and know and look from an outside perspective. The outside, that this too shall pass, is an outside perspective. You get told that when you're feeling shit. And if you can feel it from within, if you can know that everything is constantly changing, and you fully accept that fact, nothing will be the same as it was, but nothing that came before is the same as what will be. That's also good too. It's just very important to remember that everything flows. Everything changes. Nothing will ever be the same. And that's okay. That's good, I would say. You know, maybe not. I mean, I'm an idiot. You know, I don't really know anything. I'm just some guy. But I have been thinking about it a lot. I've been thinking about happiness a lot and what is happiness and seeking towards being a happier person in general. And maybe the sertraline will eventually pull through and save me. Oh, God. God, I wish I didn't have a cold. I'm going to give you some music recommendations. I hope that's okay with you. My friend and friend of the podcast, Tori Cross, has released a new single called Deepest Fear. I think you should go check it out. I think Tori's a wonderful songwriter, wonderful singer. I think you'll get a kick out of it. And I hope she'll get a kick out of me recommending it on my podcast. So please go listen to Tori Cross, Tori, and then Cross, spelled as you'd expect it. I really love that. Someone brought it back up to me the other week about the idea that you can spell fish G-H-I-T, because it's the G-H of enough, so it's the I of... Oh, no, sorry, G-H-E-T. The E is in women, so G-H-E, and then T is in motion, so fish. It's kind of weird, right? Anyway, I'm going to recommend some Miles Davis to you. I recently have been listening to a lot of the second quintet Miles Davis, which, if you don't know what that means, basically Miles Davis, I think, basically had 2 or maybe 3 great quintets. And this quintet includes Tony Williams and Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Ron Carter, like a real cool lineup. And they released a few albums. And I really love 7 Steps to Heaven, which came out, a very long time ago. 1963, in fact. And their version of I Fall in Love Too Easily is just sensational. But I think you should definitely also listen to Phil's de Kilimanjaro, or Fi de Kilimanjaro. I have French friends who will tell me how to actually say that. And I actually really love the opening track, Frélon Brune, Brown Hornet. Go listen to some weird 60s jazz. And while you're there, listen to the album 90125 by Yes, because I've been recently listening to that again, because it's dead good. Especially Owner of a Lonely Heart. I mean, that song just absolutely bangs. I love that song. You should also go listen to the Mighty Thunderwells. Our debut EP, Gumshoe Lullabies, is available to stream everywhere, and all 3 of the songs from that EP are on YouTube for you to watch and enjoy. And and also all my music. You know, I've got saxophone orchestra pieces up on YouTube. I've got other Battlex and Freyas up there, loads of other compositions. I've got music available on streaming. I think you should go listen to it. I think you will enjoy yourself. Hopefully, anyway. If not, don't come crying to me. I also like to round these things out with a poem. So I've written a poem, and this poem is called One Day the Magnolia Will Bloom. And it's a short poem, but I like it. And it's got a lot to do with what we've been talking about today. So here we go, in my nice sultry voice. Here we go. One day the magnolia will bloom. Here we go. Here's the poem. Cherry blossoms flood the streets, intermittent hailstorms, tropical heat, and pure damp. The sun sets later by the day. As I look about the sky, who lives in daily confusion, I know but one thing. One day the magnolia will bloom. One day the evenings will be hot. One day the snow will fall. One day the rain will stop. One day the swallows return. One day the geese up and leave. One day all will be different. Each day I have to believe that one day the magnolia will bloom again. Hope you enjoyed that. That was a poem. One day the magnolia will bloom. I'm hoping to maybe put these poems somewhere. I don't know, maybe a collection of poems would be pretty cool, pretty rad thing to have. Maybe I'll sell them in little picture frames. I don't know. Let me know if that's something you would be interested in. But yeah, thank you for listening to Big Boy Bigger Dreams. I am the big boy with the bigger dreams, Eden Longson, and I'm about to drive 177 miles up to Stoke-on-Trent. So wish me luck with that. I hope you have a great couple of weeks before I see you again. Much love to you all. Say hi to your mum for me, will you? Hope she's doing well. And same with all your family. Hope everyone's okay. Love you all. If you're a new listener, thanks for being here. If you're an old listener, thanks for sticking around. And yeah, peace.